So let me just... All right, we are here. So we have Pooja on the call here, who is one of the MuleSoft experts in our community. And we've been planning to schedule a session with her, but now finally we had the chance, and we appreciate her taking the time out. Pooja, I would really like for you to introduce yourself to us and the audience.
Thank you, Murat. Thank you for having me. And yes, we had been talking about this for quite some time now. My name is Pooja Kamath, and I'm based out of Houston, Texas. Um, and I am the CEO of API Insights. And through API Insights, I consult on integration and MuleSoft to other companies and clients who are either trying to venture in the integration space, or maybe they already have MuleSoft established and are looking for someone to come in and do assessment and provide feedback or help with some projects. So that's essentially what I do. I've been in the MuleSoft space for quite some time now. I worked in this technology even before it was acquired by Salesforce, even before it was IPO. And so I've really seen MuleSoft grow from just being this tool used to connect to different backend services to now being this tool with to all the other stuff like Salesforce, Slack, and Tableau, all the connectors that we have. And right now, I'm also seeing it being utilized in the AI space. So it's quite some growth, and it's been very exciting to be part of this.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks so much for that. What we really like asking, especially from experts in this field, is that what got you into the integration space? What was your journey like? Like, were you always on the integration side, or what made you move towards this side?
You know, now that I think about it, I think I was always on the integration side, but I was doing hardware integrations, integrating RFID scanners and Bluetooth devices and all of this. And when I was working on one of those projects, I had this enterprise that had so many assets, and each of those was written in a different language. It was hosted somewhere. Sometimes it was a spreadsheet on a desktop. Sometimes it was an app that was deployed on a server, and there was data in databases. There was data on files, and it was just a mess. And that's when I was, looking at, I was trying to research and see what is out there that can help us manage all of this. And that's when I came across Anypoint platform, and that's how my journey began with MuleSoft. And at that time, MuleSoft was just starting out, and we had this clean 3-layer architecture which was not there anywhere else, and it was easy to create these assets and socialize these assets, and then you knew right where it was, various places that it was housed in. So we were not really looking at changing essentially the backend systems right off the bat. It would, it could still happen later. We could look at how to get data out of this and create these programs so we can stand up these applications very quickly. And then it's easier to show that to the business and say, okay, so this is what we are capable of doing. We can do this project that has 5 services in 3 months. So if you really got the funding to, then do this for longer, we could do it right. And then, of course, after that, I worked at different clients where we stood up the common services from ground up, which we call it, MuleSoft calls it the C4E, right? Having all these assets and how to utilize them all documented. So then the LOBs can really use that and ramp up their development time.
Very nice, very
I
nice.
think that's the classic need for like using MuleSoft. I think you had a perfect start.
Yeah, yes, it was strange actually. After that, when I really implemented a few projects and I was learning more, that was the whole thing, right? That's the problem statement you're trying to solve. And I just got there through research. But now, being part of this community, all of us are very vocal about it. And so it's easier. We find enough resources. We know what we are trying to solve. So
Excellent,
we are
excellent.
there.
Nice. And Pooja, what kind of industries have you mostly served in with MuleSoft?
With MuleSoft, I have served in travel and transportation, in healthcare. I have done retail, a lot of retail actually. The RFID scanners make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Combines it just perfectly.
Yeah.
Very nice. And it's always interesting to hear about some of the biggest challenges, especially like us. We are very much into the healthcare space, always trying to provide the right set of integrations. And we try to push MuleSoft as much as possible because we know its capability. We know how much it has to offer, especially for healthcare organization, be them labs, be them healthcare providers, or anywhere where it's perfectly applicable. Especially in the healthcare industry, what kind of challenges do you think you have seen or which still exist to date and are going to be constantly evolving, and MuleSoft you think is going to be the right problem solver for that?
Yeah, that's so with healthcare, the biggest risk is always security, right? You don't want to leak information about patients, about what surgeries they're going through. And I think that was the case when I worked in the healthcare industry. Like the biggest thing is data security and how to manage all of it. And it's very hard to be in that space and do projects, because that's the first thing that comes up. Like, how are we protecting this data? How are we making sure that this is not exposed, because it's very sensitive and it really affects people's lives. With MuleSoft, having that governance layer, you can manage the PII data and not make sure that it's exposed. So I think that's where MuleSoft is really, really critical. And with all of these things that they have gotten in place, and the other things, now that MuleSoft is part of the Salesforce ecosystem, and you have access to Tableau, you have access to Slack, you have access to Salesforce, so it's very easy to get all the data that you have from Salesforce, or say from any other systems like Epic or HR, healthcare HR, to consume that data, make the necessary changes, and then get it out in terms of either reporting or even to create charts and whatnot. And of course, I'm just talking about one subset of an implementation. But if you really think about it, that governance layer now, with everyone moving towards AI and machine learning, that's going to become even more critical, because you have all these assets that are unlocking data. You definitely want to use that data to train your LLM models, or try to understand at least what your data is, and feed that into your machine learning algorithms. And having this governance layer will help you to avoid exposing that PII information, which I think is great. So I see it as a full circle moment for us. All these products that were created, which now can be used in different ways. And I know we have a lot of libraries out there for AI, and we have text annotation tools and data annotation tools. And yes, definitely, if you want to create a whole blown system, you will use that. But also, in places where data is moving through MuleSoft, you can use data weave to annotate those texts and tag it with maybe date time, or tag it with what kind of data that is. So then it's easier for those next steps to happen, and it's easier for you to use your data to train your LLM models, etc.
Definitely. And I always see Adil's eyes sparkling up when he hears data weave, because that's mostly his the area of expertise. And based on the beneficial use cases it offers, it's definitely something incredible.
Yeah, I think so too. Data weave, when that was a core thing, right? I remember everyone interviewing used to focus on data weave, and even today, I believe if you know data weave, it's very easy to go and implement, yourself, because there's so many things you can do in data weave, and now. Data weave is just getting better. You have so many things so many more things you can do. You can create libraries, you can import so many libraries to do a lot of things that before you used to you needed to use Java or Python to do. Now all of that you can just do it in data weave, which I think is great.
That is correct. And based on all of the offerings that we have now with MuleSoft, and especially with everything that it's solving around interoperability challenges or data standardizations, sometimes it gets the impression of being very pricey. And this is something that we love hearing about from experts, that especially with API insights, like if you are about to work with a client and you're suggesting MuleSoft to a business, that is, that MuleSoft's going to be the right solution for their problems, considering the fact that there are definitely integration platforms and tools available other than MuleSoft too. How do you, try to convince businesses to use MuleSoft, especially if they consider it to be a pricey tool?
I usually say that the cost it's very subjective, right? You either pay now, or if you're going to end up paying the same amount or more later, because this was not done properly. MuleSoft brings simply the connectivity that it has, all of these connectors that you get out of the box, and it's a full scale tool. It's not that you do just development in this, then you do something else for deployment, and then you use something else for your gateway. That's not really true, right? And especially with Universal Gateway, you can plug it into anything and everything that your enterprise has, and make it sort of your main solution. So the price, I think, is justified just because of the scale of use that it provides, and it helps you scale your applications very quickly. If you don't end up spending now, later you might end up spending more because you have all of these assets you have created, but you have no way of managing it, or you don't have a way to test the stuff that you have created, or you might have to bring in another tool to add in governance later, and something else for management. Honestly, I don't know if I have seen another integration tool that is quite like MuleSoft, where I can say, okay, use this, and this is a one-stop solution for you. I'm not saying that MuleSoft will fit all the use cases a company has, but it is going to fit at least 80 to 85% of your use cases.
Correct. And I think that, scalability has a lot to do with it, because, you're not going to stop at a certain type of integration. You're going to have to expand if you're planning to grow, if you're continuing it. I think that's the strongest point, that you either spend money now or end up spending way more than you could have saved earlier.
Yeah.
So I think that's that also kind of answers one of the part of the next question that I had, is what would be your advice to some businesses who are considering MuleSoft, other than just go for it?
Yeah, I would say just go for it, But if you are considering MuleSoft, obviously there is a reason, right? There is something that you are lacking in your organization that you're trying to see. Okay, will this be something that fits the company? And you can look at this tool being a part of your enterprise for a long time. Yeah, which sort of reminds me this. I spoke on a topic last TDX about how do I replace the software, and this it's a challenge we face, right? Like we all think that okay, this spreadsheet we'll just do it this year, and next year we're going to do something else. But 10 years later, that spreadsheet is still there. So if you think this next tool you're going to end up using it for 10 years, maybe you're going to end up using it for 20 years. You don't know, right? Like make the right investment right now, and call in experts who have implemented this, who have done this for other clients, because then what happens is there are some lessons we all have learned. Compared to our first implementation, our today's implementation is always better, and we know what are those pitfalls that we need to avoid. So call in someone who really knows this and who has done this and who can provide you the right guidance, and yeah, just go for it.
Nice. And specifically I always like asking this, but that's actually more of a ending question. Adil, do you have anything you want to ask Pooja? Or we
I
got
think Pooja
He's
explained
answered
everything very well. I had
quite
the curiosity regarding the pricing, but I think the point that you made, that investing at the right time and investing the right amount of money and then saving early on instead of spending more later, I think that covered it well. So yeah.
Yep. And what I always like to know is what would be one of your bold prediction about MuleSoft, let's say by the end of 2025?
You know how we have all of these prediction. I was actually reading about, I was watching this video by Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was saying that in the 90s, when they were asked, like, what are these things that you are going to be worried about in the 2000s, they had this list. And then they, none of the problems that we had in the 2000s were on that list, because they were worried about maybe some disease or famine and stuff like that. And in 2000s we were really worried about the Y2K and the other IT related. And so right now we think we have this list of stuff, and before it was really like maybe 100 years for change, right? But now change is so rapid that even in the next 2 years, that you don't know what's going to happen and what's going to change. So my bold prediction for MuleSoft would be it's still going to be there. It's still going to be as an integration tool, no matter what someone says, like, oh, and maybe in 2025 we won't have MuleSoft as an integration tool. No, that's not true, especially because of the way they are embracing this whole technology change and bringing in these plugins and connectors and code additions to sort of work with all the other things that are happening around us, especially with AI and machine learning, right? So I think it's going to be big. It's going to be tightly coupled with all new technological stuff that we do. And especially with Anypoint Code Builder, right? That's going to be something that I think in 2025 we're all going to be, on that, and that's going to be sort of preferred, especially because it's so integrated with Einstein. Right? Coding is so much easier. You just type some text and it's going to code for you. Things like that. So that's what I see in the future for MuleSoft.
Yep, especially
just to add to that, I think MuleSoft's RPA thing is going to really take off with all the Einstein workflows and everything.
Yes.
Together.
RPA, and the way RPA, MuleSoft, and process mining is working together right now, we're going to see a lot of that, like efficient processes because of quick identification of bottlenecks. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Adil.
And one thing that since we like to believe, of course, that ever since the birth of applications, specifically software applications. I mean, integration space has always been alive, and it just keeps on growing as far as technology keeps taking us. And I heard this from one of MuleSoft's podcasts that they said that in the near future, you won't be able to spell API without AI. And I love that sentence because
Yeah,
you
that's true.
literally that, and how it resonates with everything you just spoke about. It just perfectly fits, and we can already see that happening. And
Yeah, yes.
yeah.
And you see, right, we were not intentionally trying to talk about AI, but we could not avoid it when talking about integration, and that's how it's going to be.
Exactly. And when you're talking about especially large software, internally we all know we cannot have it survive without proper integrations. So it's best they all go hand in hand. So it's a good run for both these spaces. So definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these are some excellent set of insights, Pooja. We really appreciate your time. And, I'm sure that the community and everyone is going to be taking valuable things from this. And we'll definitely be staying in touch, always here to, promote not just the community, but help the right set of businesses with their integration needs as much as we can.
Thank you. It was great speaking to you both.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Pooja. Take care.
Thank you.